Yo, what's going on, yo? I'm JB Hoops, and today I'm breaking down the game of a generational athlete and potential top 3 pick, the 6'7" guard out of the overtime elite, Thompson. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, comment as well. I'll have a few more videos coming soon. Anyway, let's get it started with some of his numbers. So over 21 regular season and playoff games, averaged 16.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6.9 assists, along with about 3 stocks a game, shooting 52.8% from the field, 26.7% from 3, and 68.8% from the stripe. And now let's break down his game. Starting off with one of his biggest strengths, which is his playmaking. In my opinion, is the most talented playmaker in the draft. He's a walking paint touch, can make every sort of pass, is super creative, and his manipulation and processing speed is elite. He averaged 6.9 assists to 3.3 turnovers, and will undoubtedly enter the NBA as one of the league's premier playmakers. Thompson's ability to scan the floor, read the help and player movements and momentum, and quickly fire passes through tight windows is superb. He's an absolutely fearless playmaker with the ability to pass with either hand, with excellent accuracy and velocity to hit his teammates in stride or in their shooting pocket. And while some of his passes will result in turnovers due to miscommunications or his teammates just not expecting a pass, Amen's vision and audacious creativity at 6'7" is truly special. Due to his ability to pressure the rim and create advantages from a standstill, in ISOs and in the pick and roll, Amen has a propensity to find and create unique passing angles and openings to deliver a variety of passes through. He frequently draws in multiple defenders, and this dominance as a driver will create even more easy buckets for his teammates, with more space for him to operate in and consistent shooters and lob threats, as Thompson's teammates just sold an absurd amount of open finishes and jumpers, so even his good assist numbers are underselling how great of a playmaker he is. I'm confident Amen will also dominate in transition, pushing the pace, creating out numbers, and hitting his teammates leaking out. Thompson is also a fantastic playmaker in the pick and roll, with excellent pacing, manipulation of defenders, and timing, and his initial burst off the screen forces the help to come over and create space for his teammates to dive into, and Amen's patience to engage and draw the help away before hitting his roller is awesome. He is a bit limited in the pick and roll, with teams able to go under and sit in a deep drop as he hasn't been able to consistently hit pull-ups to force them to step up, but these issues can be mitigated with technique and rescreens and hopefully the development of his pull-up and floater, and it obviously won't be as much of an issue for him due to his otherworldly athleticism. Thompson's decision making isn't always ideal. He can force passes and over dribble and just make things harder than they need to be. He also has the tendency to leave his feet without a plan, which isn't much of an issue as he hangs in the air for ages and is able to make split-second decisions, so he generally gets away with it, but it might frustrate his coaches a bit at the next level. But overall, I believe Thompson is a really special playmaking prospect and should 100% be a primary ball handler in the NBA. Next, I want to talk about another huge selling point, which is his finishing. Thompson is a dominant finisher inside. Obviously, the outstanding physical tools and generational athleticism make things relatively simple, as he can blow by defenders, contort his body and adjust mid-air, or just finish over defenders. Over the season, Amen shot 71.2% at the rim, throwing down 35 dunks, and he even passed up a lot of easy ones, especially in transition to get his teammates involved. He's a really selfless player and will rarely force shots or get tunnel vision, but he also knows when it's time to get to the rim, take over, and score when needed. Thompson is a very solid cutter and has the ability to play off the ball, coming off of pin downs and curling to the cup, where he can also leverage his finishing to create looks for his teammates. His burst and explosion will allow him to pierce even the slightest opening in the defense to get to the basket. And even if defenders close out short, Amen's combination of stride length, power, and willingness to utilize unconventional angles is mind-blowing, so he'll still be consistently beating defenders and creating advantages, so that relieves some of my concerns with him off the ball. I also think Thompson's touch is a bit overlooked. He can smoke easy ones and isn't much of a short mid-range or floater guy, but he's extremely comfortable around the cup with either hand, above or below the rim. And the left hand and scoop finishes particularly impressed me. The free throw percentages haven't ever been particularly good, but he has definitely improved. And apart from a few poor nights where he went 5 for 10 and 2 for 8 at the stripe, Amen was generally a pretty reliable free throw shooter. He converted on 28 of his 56 layup attempts in the half court, which is a solid number at 50%, but he also missed quite a few where he simply tried to do too much. So whilst he's an incredible finisher already, I think with better shot selection and NBA spacing, Amen is going to be a seriously dominant finisher. Thompson is also extremely dominant in the open floor, converting on an absurd 79 of 99 or 79.8% of his rim attempts in transition. He's quicker than absolutely everyone, and his bounce really shows up on his transition throwdowns. His ability to go from a standstill to a sprint is ridiculous. He covers the entire floor in just a few dribbles. He can hit his teammates running the lanes, throw up a lob, or throw down a reverse windmill. And even when there's a defender or two back, men can attack them whilst they're backpedaling, contort his body to evade them in midair, or simply put them on a poster. Amen Thompson with a runway is a scary sight, so in transition it's basically a guaranteed bucket. And this ability will definitely translate as he gets steals, leaks out, or grabs and goes off the glass, beating the defense down the floor. So Amen Thompson is definitely an incredible finisher. Moving on to his defensive impact, Amen was solid defensively overall. He was quite inconsistent and took some possessions off, but when he's locked in 100%, Amen Thompson is a scary defender, both on the ball and covering the floor in help. Starting off with his on-ball defense, Amen has the tools and ability to be potent at the point of attack. At 6'7" with a 7-foot wingspan and all-time great athletic ability, Thompson has the potential to guard 1 through 3, and when he puts on some more muscle, he'll be able to hang with some 4s as well. He has great hands and reaction speed, consistently beats his matchup to spots, sliding and sticking in front and flipping his hips quickly when he needs to. He can also recover when he's beat, using his length and quickness to get back in the play. Amen's screen navigation also impressed me. He can get really skinny and evade a screener easily, but at times his awareness isn't great and he won't see it coming or will fight over when he should just go under. So it is very inconsistent and he'll get taken out of the play too easily, which was particularly an issue when he was matched up with Rob Dillingham, who's a super quick and shifty guard. Some of it was miscommunications where he tried to peel switch, and at times it was just a matter of him not being locked in. Technically, I think Amen is pretty good defensively and his tools make everything a lot easier, but the biggest issue is definitely him relaxing and taking possessions off, in which he'll be too upright and stiff, which leads to easy blow-bys and him getting taken out by screens, where he does give up on the play earlier than you'd like and kind of just floats around. I definitely don't think it's a flexibility or mobility issue. There might be a bit of a lack of core strength, but mostly I think it's just Amen not being locked in. So whilst he definitely has some things to clean up at the point of attack, I really trust that with his technique, understanding and tools, Thompson can be a really impressive on-ball defender. Now on to his off-ball defense. Amen is not quite the rim protector Asar is, and his activity off the ball isn't always ideal, but he has a 7-foot wingspan, covers a ton of ground, and has freakish leaping ability off 1 or 2 feet. He requires minimal load time, he just springs up and blocks or deters shots around the rim. His timing is great and he tracks the ball really well. Amen is also incredibly disruptive in passing lanes. He'll routinely read the ball handler's eyes, tag the roller, and jump and snatch a skip pass and get out for an easy dunk. I also think he has elite potential as a nail or gap defender, who can dig in on drives, get a piece of the ball, and quickly recover to his man without giving up a blow-by. Thompson pretty much dug in on every single drive, often gambling, over helping and leaving his man, which is a habit he'll have to stamp out in the league, but his hand-eye coordination and reaction speed is just so damn good, to the point where I think you can excuse a few lapses and gambles every now and then. Amen can also fall asleep ball watching and lose track of his man, and just be a bit inactive off the ball, missing rotations and getting caught out of position. So overall defensively, he has a lot of stuff to work on, mostly from a discipline and effort standpoint, which he can definitely pick up in the league. And I just think the size, physical tools, technique, and innate feel is just too great to pass up on. So I'm also a huge fan of his defensive upside. Next, I want to talk a bit about his self-creation upside. Amen Thompson has ridiculous potential as a half-court creator, due to his god-tier burst and explosion and developing handle and finishing bag. Amen is just that dominant of an athlete that he barely needs to even shake his defender to blow by them. His first step is excellent, he takes super long strides, and the sequential steps are just as quick and powerful. Now that isn't to say Amen doesn't possess impressive craft and pacing as well. He regularly uses hesitations, head fakes, crosses and change of pace to freeze defenders, before exploding or changing directions to penetrate through the defense. He gets freakishly low in his drives and can control his dribble to go high and low as well, and his playmaking capabilities and herky-jerky movements also create indecision from defenders for Amen to easily exploit. And once he creates that initial advantage and has a runway to the rim, Amen is extremely creative using euros, hop steps, and unorthodox gathers and pickups. He can take off from anywhere and just glide to the rim or slither around the help defenders. The rim finishing numbers probably don't do him justice, as he does have a tendency to do too much and get too fancy with it, rather than just taking the simple layup. Now, as for his pull-up scoring, Amen Thompson is simply a poor off-the-dribble shot maker, who shot just 9 of 34 or 26.5% on off-the-dribble 2s, and a slightly better 7 of 22 or 31.8% on off-the-dribble 3s. Thompson wasn't able to punish defenders for dropping or going under on screens and giving him that shot, which will only continue to be exploited in the NBA, but Amen is definitely capable of creating separation and getting open looks. He's impossible to stay in front of one-on-one, so we'll definitely be able to leverage his driving and advantage creation to set up simple pull-ups. It'll just come down to whether he can knock down those opportunities. His handle also isn't quite where it needs to be, and quite a few of his turnovers came from him losing the ball and his lack of comfortability against ball pressure, although his handle has definitely tightened up over the last year or so. But there were also some ridiculous possessions where he just looked unstoppable, stringing together crosses and change of directions, eating up space and shaking his defender. So I really don't think the separation part of shot creation will be much of an issue, especially with how much space defenses will be willing to give him. The pull-up shooting mechanics are also probably a little smoother and more consistent than his set shot, but he still has a lot of work to do. And overall, he has a long way to go as a shot maker and ISO scorer, but with his burst and handling flashes and ability to get to the rim, if his pull-up shooting becomes even okay, Amen Thompson is going to be a problem. Thompson's biggest area for improvement is clearly his jumper. He shot just 15 of 52 or 28.8% on catch and shoot threes, and NBA teams just won't respect his shot and will leave him open, which will hurt his team's spacing and in turn make it harder for him and his teammates to operate. Amen's jumper overall is very inconsistent. Mechanically, he has a lot to clean up. He has a very rigid and stiff shot, and it's clear he's actively focusing on keeping things tight and compact, but his arm often swings outwards as he releases. The energy transfer is off and he lacks range as he doesn't get his legs into his shot a lot of the time. But every now and then he'll have a super clean shot where he's not overthinking things and just shoots it. Amen simply has to be more willing and confident to take threes. Over the last 4 or so years through high school and OTE, he's attempted less than half the threes Asar has. And at this point Asar has developed into a pretty solid shooter. So I think Amen can definitely get there. But with teams going under on screens, taking away driving lanes and closing out short, he'll have to start taking and making those shots, or it will be harder for him to be effective in the half court and particularly on the ball. The willingness to improve is evident. He's consistently made alterations to his shot for a few years now, and he works extremely hard to improve. But Amen improving as a shooter is a necessity, and it'll definitely be a huge emphasis for whoever drafts him. But I have faith in his work ethic and shooting coaches, so I think with time and reps there's a solid chance Amen's jump shot comes around. Alright, to wrap it up, Amen Thompson is a special talent. He is an absolutely mind-blowing athlete, one of the craziest basketball athletes I've ever seen, and his upside on both ends of the floor is ridiculous. He does have a lot of things to clean up, and there are significant questions around his lack of jumper, and how that will affect his half-court impact, the OTE competition level given him being a bit older than most guys, as well as his defensive consistency. But in my opinion, the upside is just too great. He's an uber talented playmaker and driver, and rim pressure is one of the most valuable things in the league. He has unteachable size and athletic tools, and if he lands in the right system, the sky is the limit. So I have Amen Thompson as my number 3 prospect in the draft. He might take a bit longer to adapt to the league, but I'm completely sold on his star potential, and I cannot wait to see him perform in the NBA. Alright, that's all I got for this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Comment down below. I'll have a few more videos before the draft. I have my final big board in a few weeks, and a few more scouting reports on Victor and Scoot, as well as finishing the top 10 by position series. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I really appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video. This one took a lot of effort. But anyway, that's all I got. JB Hoops